What is freaking good, y'all? Happy Saturday morning. Hope you guys are doing amazing. Hope you're doing fantastic, and hope you're having the best day of your entire life, fam. So today, I am currently headed over to an entrepreneurship event. It is currently 9:40. The event starts at 10, and I'm gonna be linking up with a couple buddies. And the event is hosted by Renzo and Ibrahim. So super excited to link up with other like-minded individuals, like 6-7 figure business owners, and yeah, just connect with them. The event itself is going to be hosted in Chicago, and one of the reasons why I really love going to these events is because every single time I go to these events, bro, like I just leave feeling so motivated and so inspired to really take my business to that next level. Just being able to connect with like-minded individuals, like people who have like very similar visions and goals as you, or doing very similar things, especially in the online space, bro, like nothing beats it. And another really cool thing is my coach and mentor is going to be there in person as well. He's going to be speaking on the panel, so I'm super excited to link up with him. I think it's always so cool just to see your coach and mentor in person. You know how you're always getting like coached through Zoom and like online calls and all that stuff, but when you see them in person, it's like, yo, this is crazy, right? All this time you've been mentoring me through a screen, and now I get to see you in person. I think that's always a really, really cool experience. So super excited to link up with him, maybe drop some value for you guys, and maybe ask him some questions. And yeah, I think it's going to be a dope event. I don't think I ever left an entrepreneurship event like, oh man, that was a waste of time. Like every single one I've gone to, it always inspired me, or I always met people that always inspired me to take my business to that next level.
Goal for today. Anytime I go anywhere, there's two things I keep in mind. I used to always be the shy kid in the back, and every single time I leave an event, I feel extremely regretful. Some connection, for one thing, to change the entire trajectory of your life. And then number two, just creating the opportunity for yourself. You're gonna have a lot of cool speakers, a lot of cool people talking, and you're gonna have a lot of ideas running through your head, and you're just gonna be bouncing off the walls. But pick one, focus on it, lock in, and just like, it will 10x your life and change your life. That's it from day one, documenting your journey. I see so many 16-year-olds posting content with absolutely nothing to their name, and they have hundreds of thousands of followers, and that's why they're making, I know a 16-year-old doing 400 G's a month, just because he documented his journey. And it took me about 2 years to start doing that, and it does take a lot of time to pick up traction. I was posting endlessly, and I was like, when is this video gonna take off? When is this video gonna take off? And it was right before my birthday, February 26th. I posted a video that I didn't even want to post because I was like, I look so skinny in this, like, I don't look good, people aren't gonna like it, it's gonna be another flop. I'm stuck in 200 view jail. I posted that, on my birthday it hit 10K, and it kept going up. So I went up to 100K, it's now at 2.4 million views, and that one video showed me the power of content. So it got me 40,000 followers, it built up my base, and I had a sales funnel, link in my bio, via sale to book a call. It booked me 400 calls, that one video made me $45,000. And I was thinking about quitting so many times, but I just kept on staying persistent. So if I were to start over today, number one thing, post content from day one.
Short answer to the question is, if I were to get started today, just fucking do it. Like, so many reasons why not. You know, for those of you that are not entrepreneurs, I'm gonna guess there's at least one of you in the room who is not yet an entrepreneur because you gotta start your LLC. That sound familiar? Right? I don't know how to start my LLC. What about the tax setup? What about this? What about that? Just go make some fucking money and figure it out after, right? Like, if you haven't made at least $1,000 in your business, like, it's not a business. So don't worry about the tax formation. Don't worry about all this nonsense. Just go start the business, and the rest will figure it out over time.
I really resonate with what like you guys all said. To add on to that, like very specifically for me, I wish I did more market research and DMing people. Like literally like those two things, because I think not doing those two things, which like is pretty obvious. Like one, if you want to create a good offer that actually like resonates with people, that's specific, you should like hop on the phone with people. And I started from a social media background, so I grew like a comedy account to 900,000 followers making memes. So I knew how to get distribution. I knew how to get eyeballs onto my thing. But I spent, from the point that I wanted to like get into entrepreneurship, and then the first time I actually like consistently started hitting 10K a month with that business, it took me 2 years. And just like looking at those numbers on paper, that doesn't really add up, because I was always able to pull in like 10 to 100,000 views consistently on a video. Yet I couldn't even get $10,000 a month. And when reflecting back, I don't have like strong regrets over spending that much time, but it's like I could have just done it quicker if I just did the tasks that made me uncomfortable, which for me was people-oriented tasks. So like, I grew up very shy, and I was like a people pleaser. Like, I guess very specifically, I felt like I wasn't like, you know, a very commanding person in a room or anything. So like, if I were to ask somebody, hey, what problems are you dealing with? I'm gonna like seriously help you out. That was like a frame shift that just made me uncomfortable. And as a result, I just opted to do what was comfortable for me, which was make more videos. And like the obvious answer to just grow in business was to do like the task that I saw in that one YouTube video, or like 100 million offers by Hormozy. It's like, figure out who the person you're serving is, and then just go talk to them a lot of times. But that was uncomfortable for me, so I just like kind of subconsciously avoided it. All to say, it's like, I think usually those like needle moving tasks that really get us to like jump in the business, at least in my experience, was usually the things that made me like very deeply emotionally uncomfortable. And I just wish that I put like my ego aside, because I was like, I know how to do this stuff. I grew like a following, and yet I was stuck. I was stuck in terms of business, and it's just because I was so uncomfortable with like doing that one thing, which was talking to people. And business is all people. It's the ability to like hop on a call and like create a frame and be like, I'm gonna help you out, and you're gonna pay me this much money. That was really uncomfortable, so I just like didn't really want to do that. And like I found all these workaround excuses to avoid just the very simple truth of like doing the obvious work of talking to people, doing market research, specifically DM setting in the DMs, like being a little bit uncomfortable on my phone, having to text people to like set appointments and stuff. That was uncomfortable for me. That might not be the case for like other people here. Maybe it's content, like being in front of a camera makes you uncomfortable, right? Maybe you're a little bit more comfortable talking to people, but you're like, I don't want to be perceived online, or like, you know, being on camera, that's not my kind of thing. And I think just removing that personal, like, I'm this type of person would have helped me so much before, because these identity labels of like, I'm more of like a creative kind of person, I'm more like silly goosey, loosey goosey, like that was kind of made up in my head, and like people skills was learnable, and I wish I just like did that. But I guess, you know, that's not like a big regret, but that's what I would tell my former self.
So, who here has an idea that they've never implemented because of whatever reason, insert excuse here? Who has had an idea come to their mind that they didn't implement? Put your hands up, come. Like I think that's every single person. Now keep your hands up, right? Keep your hands up if that's you. Who here saw somewhere in the world someone else implement that idea somewhere between when you had the idea and when you saw the idea, right? Almost all of us. Ideas are floating around, and you know, if I'm God or whatever, I'm gonna send it to the person who's gonna take action on it first. So, you know, for me, just like, again, take action, and for me, I'm gonna test it. So whatever you can do to test it. So make a fake landing page that says XYZ, like fake website that says, hey, you know, I offer this, and just see if anyone clicks on it and signs up. Run some ads to it, post on your social, see if anyone's interested. If they aren't, pivot, do something else. So test fast, pivot fast, and keep doing it until you find the winning product.
I read this book called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. Like, everybody fucking write that, sorry about cursing. Write that on your notes, because when I read that book, I had 6 million view videos in a month. Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. And so if you don't want to read the book, long story short, the biggest takeaway I had is that when you have an idea in your brain, somehow, some way, from an inspiration or just like, whatever, you just thought of something, if you don't take action on that idea right away, that idea is going to transfer to somebody else in a couple of days or a week or a month. And someone's going to have that same exact idea and make it on social media, and they basically stole your idea, but you never took action on it. So for me, like, my best videos always happen because I thought of an idea, I whip out my iPhone, and I film it right away. And that's when you have like the most passion and the most energy to make that video work. But going back to the offer, let's see, who's here ever thought of like creating an offer or selling a product or selling a service, but you don't really know what to sell? Let me know. Okay, so the big shift that I had when I first started is like, it's not about your idea, it's about solving a problem in the market, right? Every product here always solves something specific for a specific type of person. Like, even example, this microphone, it's for people that want to capture like event content, but they can't film everybody or they can't get the sound, so this was invented, right? For us with our other agency, Growthology, for us, like people didn't know how to grow on Instagram, right? There was a big problem. People were going online during COVID, and so then we help people go online and grow their Instagram. So for you guys, if you ever need to start an offer, find the group of people that you're the most passionate about that can actually pay you, and then figure out their biggest problem in whatever aspect they have, whether it's health, wealth, or relationships. And then and only then, once you figure out their problem, then you come up with a solution to solve that problem. So when in doubt, it's kind of what Mito said. Talk to the people you want to help. Figure out their problems, and then if you could solve a problem that's so painful, they're gonna pay thousands of dollars for it if you solve it right. So, biggest thing is just talk to people and figure out what they need.
What's a habit or mindset shift that changed the game for you?
Oh my God. For me, the biggest mindset shift that I ever went through was when I was growing up. I grew up in a Pakistani household, and for anyone who's grown up in a South Asian culture or had strict parents, perfectionism was one of the things that was heavily encouraged and emphasized. Failure wasn't exactly something that was seen as oriented towards growth. So for me, the biggest thing I learned is the more times I fail, the closer I will get to my goal. I've created more pieces of content, like so many. I remember when I was first getting started in social media, every single night I would be up pulling all-nighters. All my friends would be concerned about me, saying like, Bilal, this is ridiculous. I know like TikTok is fun, creating content is fun, but like, why are you still going? And it's because every time I created a new piece of content and I failed, I would learn a little something new. Failure is not something to be scared or fearful of. It is quite literally such a blessing in disguise if you know how to use it. If you're able to take an action and then objectively, without emotion, look at the feedback loop regarding that action, you can then make the appropriate steps or take the appropriate steps to course correct and get to a desired objective. So for me, I would say the biggest piece of advice or biggest mindset shift that I would encourage all of you to adopt is fail fast and fail forward. Like just analyze what's happening and make the micro adjustments based off that. And the other part of that is it has to be at an identity level. It has to be almost like if you were a professional athlete or like if you played golf professionally. Those guys put in more reps than anyone else. They have a true passion for it. So find the thing that you can dive into and be absolutely relentless, but be smart about it. When you do fail, don't just immediately jump into something, analyze from that point, and then take action. So that would be the biggest mindset shift, I would say, and I would encourage all of you to adopt that, 100%.
Great answer, brother. Next question. I'm gonna have two more, and then I'm gonna open it up to Q&A. This is for anybody that wants to take the mic. If you lost everything today, what would you do tomorrow to get it all back? Who wants it?
Pass the box.
So this happened to me, and I'll spare you guys the details, but 30-second version, I had a company, we did our best month ever, did $1.3 million in sales in 1 month, and I was at a meditation retreat in Mexico, and I got a call from my business partner's assistant saying basically that he'd stolen all the money and disappeared, my business partner. So I have over $1 million worth of contracts to fulfill, which again was my best month ever at the time, and no money in the account. I had $300,000 a month payroll. My rent for my office was like $25K at the time, and I was like, okay, what the heck am I gonna do? And in that time, the only answer is to produce. And what I mean by produce, go find something, some exchange of value. How can I exchange value? And how can I exchange some value and get paid for it? So basically sold. So, for me, that was agency services, marketing agency services. Now it's better because you can use AI for that. At the time, it was me going through my contacts and just calling people. If I had AI, I would find a way to tap into that and find a way to make income doing it, right? And partner with the right people to make it happen. But ultimately, like that's the system that I would use if I had to start from scratch.
You know, it's just grinding, and I kept cold calling every single day, hundreds of people per day, and then figuring out their pains and what they're going through. And then at the end is when I actually found out what the whole resolving pain that they had, and it was for real estate agents. So, you know, I kept pitching them, oh, I'll solve you this problem, I'll solve you this problem. And at the end, I got my first client like a month ago.
Clap it up. So yeah, as you see.
He's also 17 years old, so if a 17-year-old can do it, anybody can freaking do it.
So yeah, as you see, guys, like that worked for me and Ibrahim back in the day, and it still works to this day. So if there was one business model I would do without a personal brand and having to post every day like we're doing now, like that's the business model to do.
What do your parents say?
They're so proud.
Yeah?
Because they were like, what are you doing on the computer every day? Come on, get a job. And I'm like, no.
I got a job.
I got a job.
That's the best for me.
You're good.
How many of you have been on Instagram or TikTok in the past week and seen those Bigfoot and Yeti videos with Google's VO3? All right. AI right now, generative AI for short form content, Google's VO3. It's insane. I wish there was a way to put it up. It's so funny, but
This glowing poll, let's see how many views this gets.
No plan, no shoot, just content. Drinks, just gasoline. Digging to the Earth's core, bare hands, no brakes. Can I survive a full latex suit in 100-degree heat with no water? Let's find out the hard way.
quite literally, how many of you guys have ever seen like the Outdoor Boys? Like on YouTube or seen clips of them show up. People took that exact same framework. They plugged it into Google VO3 and then they said, all right, I'm gonna do this, but I want it to be Bigfoot and I want it to be a Yeti. And these clips go absolutely insane because the technology has now advanced to a point where you can generate engaging short form content, and it's like it has proper pacing, it's on beat, and people are taking these videos and they're putting them up on TikTok, making them over a minute, and they're using that as like another source of income, and they are addicting to watch. So that's definitely something I'm going to be like tuning into, something that's just generative AI is so incredibly powerful at this point in time.
You know, I've been in marketing for about 10 years now. You know, made tens of millions of dollars doing this stuff, and like this is just changing everything. So whatever it is for you guys, every day, like let's just be looking at things, seeing the opportunity that exists, and just know that if you don't find a way to tap into AI, you'll probably lose out on much of your opportunity to earn income in the next 36 months.
Also, warn your grandparents now before they get, scammed or anything.
I mean, honestly, our that generation, even like I'm glad my parents are like just at the retiring age. Who here has parents that are still working age parents? Like, and probably have another 10 years of work or more? Like, they're fucked. Like, you guys better get your shit together. No, seriously though. Like, what's gonna happen? Anyone's parents like receptionist or support, working like support or kind of like a day-to-day like job on a computer? It's gotta be someone, right? A couple. They're fucked. So like get your shit together so you can take care of them because they're not gonna be able to figure this out.
No, we know better.
I can't, bro.
He can't support everyone's parents though. So I guess just can I get a commitment from you guys? Because 5 years from now I want us all to be there. So just like sound good?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, boys. I want to open it up to some Q&A for the next 20 minutes. So I'm sure a lot of you guys have questions.
Something that I'm dealing with, it's very related to the previous problem, but it's people. Like, maybe this is just me, but like I feel like I'm like learning a lot of soft people skills. Like leadership and management is something that I'm very grateful to be learning right now. But my business hit 100K month in January of 2025, and I was like, bro, we're there. Like, it's lit. We made it, bro. And then in February, it was like 30 or 40. and then March, like 30 or 40. And then April, I was like, all right, like we're gonna do this big launch. I put down like a bunch of money to build out this software, and then like didn't do that well once again. In April, it was like 40K a month, and it was like really jarring to me because I was like, bro, like I thought I did it, you know, I thought I had it figured out. And the biggest bottleneck for me, I think, was learning how to manage people and like set up an actual like good organizational structure. But I guess like the deeper, more emotional like problem that I'm dealing with is just like stress and being able to handle like not feeling like things on an upward trajectory, feeling like the business literally halved or like 33% of what it was at its peak, and still like being okay, like taking that hit to my ego and learning that like I might have had like a A-tier skill in like marketing and getting people in the door, but then my fulfillment and systems in the back end was like a C tier, and then having the I guess like honesty with myself to recognize that and then be a little slower on my next launch of my next product. So learning people skills, learning management from like literally YouTube videos and stuff, and then recognizing that some problems like that, like hiring people, are not fixed in a day. Like it's still in the midst of like working out the team structure, but it's new, and I think things like that with people can take a long time, and it's okay to take a long time to learn those skills.
Yeah, that's a good point. We had something similar. So who here has a team, or at least has like an employee, even like a contractor VA? Raise your hand. Who here wants to build a team so that you don't have to work as hard? Let me know. All right, cool, me too. But for us, like when we launched our new software company last year, full transparency, like we were stuck at 70K for like a little bit, 70K a month, and which sucked because we were making 100K a month with our agency before, so we were taking a hit. And we couldn't really figure out the problem. I was like, is my lead quality bad? Am I not leading the team right? Is our offer bad? Like whatever, like what's going on here? And so we made one change back in January. It's like, whatever our sales team is doing right now, no offense if they ever see this vlog or recording, they weren't converting. So me and Ippy tried our hardest to like give them all the resources, all the tools to make it work, but they could just never get past that plateau. And so then the second we fired them and hired this new guy to run and manage our sales team, we went from 70K to 130K in 30 days. And it's all because we had the right talent. And so I remember listening to a Hermosi podcast back in the day. Anybody listen to Hermosi? Let me know. No? Kinda? Okay. Hermosi said, like, you'll never understand what true talent is until you find it. And that never really internalized for me until we hired our best sales director with that. So when in doubt, if your person's not performing, there's probably better talent out there that you just haven't discovered yet.
One of the keys to overcoming adversity is actually making the damn decision to get over something in the first place. Too many people don't know what it means to make a resolute, firm commitment. I'm going to do it no matter what, that's it, period. And you usually have to hit your like FTE, which is like the F this event moment in your life where it's like you finally decide, enough is enough, I'm gonna do whatever it takes. And oftentimes life will present that to you. You won't have to like look for like, what's the thing that's going to cause so much pain in my life that none of the odds, none of the obstacles, none of it matters. We suffer more mentally than we actually do in reality. And then for Renzo, I'm pretty sure it was the moment he had negative 40 in his bank account. For Dylan, I'm pretty sure it's when his girlfriend had to pay for groceries. Ibrahim, I know he's gone through it as well. Mino has, I have, we all have. The way to overcome adversity, no matter what it is, or no matter, what, because adversity is just adversity. Overcoming it is the important part. And for that, you must make a decision that I'm going to do the thing that I've set out to do. I don't care how it happens. I don't care when it happens. I'm going to continue to move forward no matter what. Life will present you with certain answers. And using your own intuition is such a huge thing as well. You'll get to a point where it's like, you'll look at something and it's almost like you'll have an internal red light, green light. where you can look at something and just say, you know what, I'm just not feeling it. And you can ask anyone in business to a certain degree that they've trained that intuition. I like that point that Dylan brought it up. With that being said, we can.
Just one real quick thing on that note is that moment, rock bottom, let's call it, my card getting declined, $40, whatever it is for them. You guys get to make that decision right here, right now, today, and whether that moment was in the past or the future. Are you gonna allow a past moment to be what was the determinator on why you're never gonna allow yourself to get there? Or are you gonna still wait for something in the future to be that trigger?
It doesn't matter if it's a breakup, it doesn't matter if it's your bank account like being completely empty. You can quite literally make it anything you want. It all works. Use the pain of that moment to propel yourself forward. Sometimes getting off the ground, step one, if you want a car to start, you have to start the engine. The engine has to kick. The kick for most people is pain. Use it to your advantage.
It's a good answer, boys.
Just got a question.
I got a question.
Let's go up here first. What's your question, buddy?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what's one thing that you maybe stopped doing that helped you grow faster, either as a creator or like a founder, and what you're offering?
Stopped doing.
Yeah.
In COVID, during COVID, I was in Vegas at the time. I don't know how it is here, but weed is legal. And I would go to the dispensary, get these little gummy pucks, which were like candy, and I'd take like a couple of them, and I would get fucking high and sit and watch Netflix, and Tiger King came out at the time, whatever, you know. and I'd wake up feeling the next day. I'd have like 2 of them. It's a shitload of weed or like THC to have, and I'd wake up the next day and I'd feel it. And one day I said, "What the heck? Like, this is not me. Like, what am I hiding from? What am I running from? Like, why am I doing this?" And oftentimes substances or whatever it is, porn is one that a lot of people have this challenge with too, a lot of men. Like, what are we running away from? So for me in COVID, it was weed. And then about 18 months ago, I was incredibly stressed that when I was telling you guys, my 8-figure business collapsed pretty much overnight. You know, so about a year into this, I'm like one of my rock bottom moments again, trying to dig my way out of it. And I'm coming home after work, like having 6 beers by myself. Like I'm cracking them, and one day I look at myself, I'm like, what the fuck? This is not me. And so I decided, I'm like, let me stop drinking. I gotta make $1 billion, and I can have a glass of champagne. Made $1 million, didn't have a glass of champagne, and I don't drink anymore. So, substances. Brad. And then April this year, I said no to porn. And let's go! I'm still trying to get rid of the meth addiction, but you know, that's coming.
Wait, Dylan, did you stop making it too, or just stop?
So he's an 8-figure entrepreneur. 95% of it comes from drugs.
Yeah. So I could tell you guys all like the basic answers, like get off social media or quit porn, quit weed, quit drinking, but
Basic answer, thanks.
okay, no, your story is good. Your story is good. Don't worry about it. But mine's a little deeper. That was a good answer. But for me, anybody here like scared of like what other people think, whether you're trying to post on social media or you want to tell people you start a business, or fuck, like who here in this event is like scared to like talk to new people or like scared they're gonna judge you, right? Right? So for me, like I used to be that kid.
Those are the ones who don't raise their hands, by the way. Yeah. Those are the people who don't raise their hand. Who here is scared to raise your hand?
Hey man, if people see other people, they're more comfortable sharing. But anyway, so the point I'm trying to get across though was I was the same exact way. Like probably up until 2022, even when I was already making multiple 6 figures with my business, like I was always scared of like what other people thought of my social media, what people said about me, people talking shit behind my back. And that really held me back from actually creating real content and like actually putting myself out there to help people. And it wasn't until I learned this quote called the mirror of life. I say it in like every podcast, but there's a mirror of life where if you're judging, or if someone is judging you, right, and someone's hating on you, it's never actually about you, it's an insecurity on their part reflecting onto you, right? So if someone's hating about me for my content or like me showing my life, whatever it is, they're probably insecure about their own life and then they're projecting that on me. So I know like any hate comment I get, it's never actually about me, it's about them, and I feel sorry for them and I have empathy for them. But the mirror of life also happens the other way. So if you're judging other people, you're talking shit, or if you're saying like, oh, I don't like that kid's outfit, or like, oh, those guys' shoes are dirty, or oh, that guy's personality gives me the hate, whatever it is, then you're gonna be insecure about that same exact thing. And so once I learned to not judge other people and truly accept and love every person for who they are, like I don't get triggered and I don't really get like offended by anything people say because I don't judge them first. So that's why if any of you guys follow me on social media, I'm able to do all this crazy shit and do weird things because I'm not scared of what other people think because I never judge people in the first place. So if any of you guys are ever scared about what other people are thinking about you or people are judging you, then you go first and stop judging people, and I guarantee you, you'll be better.
You want to find people in life who elevate you. I know, habits is one thing that sometimes we need to cut out, but something that goes even deeper that helps us establish those habits in the first place are the people that we surround ourselves with. You need to associate with people who either have what you want and have been where you are, or are on the trajectory to be in the positions that you want to be in. There's a quote that says, "You are your income, or you as a person, are the average of the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with and the knowledge that you consume." You need to associate with other people who have that winning mindset, or who are driven and determined, because there are going to be times where you falter, where you backslide. We can't be perfect 100% of the time, but if we have good associations and good friends around us that keep us sharp, I mean, there is a saying, iron sharpens iron. So not only cut out those bad habits, but also find people that can help strengthen you. That would be the second aspect. Like, I hate saying this, but like, cut out the people in your life that you can kind of feel like, maybe they're not bringing out the best in me. And sometimes it can be difficult, but it'll save you guys a headache.
All right, 2 more questions. Let's try to speed run this. Cal, and then Khalil.
Damn, good catch.
You guys all have fairly massive audiences on social media. I would also say that from what I understand about all of you guys, your businesses are built off of your organic audiences as well. My question is, what difference you notice in terms of the way that funnels have to be set up to convert audiences depending on the platform? So I specifically make most of my money with my clients by converting their audiences from YouTube or Instagram, but I've always had trouble converting TikTok audience, whether getting them to book a call or whatever it may be. Obviously for Instagram you have ManyChat, YouTube is more loyal, but this was kind of designed for you.
I got it. All right, TikTok. So this is a platform that I started on. Let me clip form real quick. But TikTok specifically was basically, it's weird because usually people like start on Instagram or YouTube. I think that's like way more default for anybody, like, and even now I encourage, start on Instagram because you can DM people, you have ManyChat, you have stories. TikTok doesn't have any of those things. So I started on TikTok. That was the only way I got leads for an entire year. And the only reason why I switched over is because like my TikTok account got banned one day and I was like, holy shit, like I was like geeking out and stuff. But very specifically with TikTok, I think there's 2 things. One is from the content perspective, just straight up talking without editing works better. I think anybody who spent time like watching TikTok or Instagram will notice that Instagram's a lot more heavily edited, while TikTok's just straight up people will open up their iPhone, they'll maybe put like one little piece of text above their head, and then that's it, right? And like those videos even do better. And they also
captions or captions?
I think that actually like is a non-factor. I would say the important things are like a good hook, some good text above your head that's like really easy to understand, attention grabbing, and then text or no text. I think I've seen both work. So I think from the content perspective, definitely just like spam. I've seen the best TikTokers, they do 3 posts a day too, right? So it's just like raw volume, and you have to kind of treat it like, one, you're just shooting a bunch of shots, like way more than you shoot on Instagram too. Because you gotta be like taking a walk, TikTok idea, fuck it, let me just record. Might get 1,000 views, but then I've had a time like that where it got to 2 million. and the amount of lead flow that came from that was just insane. The second thing is that usually with TikTok, what people will just look at your page and binge watch way more often. So they have like so much higher proclivity towards binge watching, where on Instagram you might get one-off viral video, but then the rest of your videos don't get any increased traction because of that, right? You'll get 1 million view, and then the others will stay at like 1,000, 2,000. You'll be like, what the heck? Like, people got exposed to me. Where's the funnel like trickling down? But on Instagram, you get one viral video that hits 1 million views, and you'll see the surrounding videos will get like 100,000 too. So many people look on your bio, so I would say the funnel strategy is one, have a ton of like nurture content where it's like 2 minutes, 1, 2, 3 minutes of you like just breaking down and sharing your thoughts. It's basically like a YouTube video, except a lot more casual, posting a lot more of them, and obviously like a little bit more of this like middle length of video. And two also is that like I actually don't think the funnel matters that much inside the link in bio. Like I've seen like the VSL like free training where you have to put your email in. My best funnel was a type form. It's like apply to work with me. And then in my best like days, I've had like I think up to like 100 people apply just from like a type form. And I didn't notice like a massively noticeable difference, just because what matters is the fact that you get like one, the content in front of their face, and two, just that nurture sequence of them dripping down and watching like your other videos. And the content I think will do the speaking for itself, whereas on Instagram I think somebody might see one video go immediately down your funnel. I think with TikTok it's like they have to watch like 10 or 20. That's generally what like, this is a generalization, but I think that's what the user behavior kind of lends to on TikTok, and I think that's different.
It's very interesting because when I asked the question, I've always thought that it was always about the funnel, right? Because the content performs on all the platforms, it gets the views on TikTok, but it's not converting the same way that it does through the ManyChat automation on IG or through whatever CTA in the YouTube video. I thought that maybe it requires a different funnel. Maybe I have to implement a funnel where they're nurtured more up front before they get asked to book a call or fill out an application. And what you're saying, is that it always goes back to the content itself. And if there was more nurturing content for them to consume, even if it was in a binge manner, that's what will get them to convert more. It's not necessarily having a different funnel for that platform.
If anything, have like a 5-minute video pinned to your profile of you just like essentially having a VSL. Like I think you just straight up rip VSLs onto your page on TikTok, and that like works incredibly well because that's inherently gonna get way more views than like a VSL you put in your bio anyways. So like your entire funnel and like a lot of the nurture happens just on the page on TikTok. So anyways, I don't know, Bilal, you probably have a good take too.
And going back to what Mina was saying about having multiple pieces of content per day, I have been like the 3 videos a day guy. Like quite honestly, that is the framework for growth. And I think some of you may have noticed, I have a lot of notebooks and a lot of paper that I keep with me. I have one small notebook that I keep with me no matter where I go. And whenever an idea pops in, Dylan even mentioned this earlier, ideas for content or anything, they kind of hang around, the thoughts are things. They kind of hang out in the ether, you could say. When you get one of those ideas, always be sure to write it down, and then in the back of your mind, your subconscious is always coming up with new ideas, and they just kind of pop up, whether it's in the shower or right before bed. I would say keep something physical with you to actually jot those down. That'll help with the idea generation process. And ideas typically build off of one another over the course of time. And one other trick that I would say when it comes to having a mass amount of like content generation is every 3 to 6 months, sometimes what I would do is I would rehash old pieces of content that went viral or certain ideas from them and kind of throw them together, like different combinations of them, so I could continuously put content out there. If you have that sheer amount of volume, even if you just have like a one-off video on Instagram that like absolutely rips, it does have that effect. So just to add on to a bit of what Mina had said there. Yeah.
Answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
All right, perfect. We're gonna go Khalil, and then after Khalil, spotlight the boys, Cal and Jordan, and then after that, we're gonna break for lunch.
Yeah, bro. After listening to all this, I have so many questions for you guys. It's crazy. But I think the first one that was on my mind is, how do you filter out the sheer amount of information? So, for example, we're getting a lot of information here. I've talked to a lot of clients, right? And this dude will say, I don't want it for this reason, or this is my problem, right? A lot of times my clients don't even know their problems, right? How do I filter out information I'm getting to make proper adjustments, within my pipeline? That can be for anything.
That can be for anything. Okay, so information overload is a huge thing. I'll relate this back to like social media again because that's kind of my area of expertise. But there's a little trick that I used to use for filtering out content and figuring out like what to post, because you need quality data points to work off of. So Amino, you can tell me if you have one of these too, a swipe file, or did you ever read Steal Like an Artist?
I actually haven't.
Really?
I read like the summary of it.
Okay. So there was a book I read called Steal Like an Artist that talks about taking inspiration from other people. And the main preface or idea of that entire book is if you steal or copy one person, you are a cheap knockoff. If you take inspiration from 100 people, you've done your due diligence in research. But how do we find proper data points or inspirations? For me, whenever I was trying to figure out how to create content, I would always look at industry leaders, like who's currently leading the charge, who's going the most viral, who has a message that I particularly like, and I had a system for it. I would find like 5 accounts that had the views or the type of content that I wanted to make, and I would go inside of their followings as well and find 5 people for each one of those original 5. So I'd have like 30 sources of inspiration to like draw from, and that would be my gauge of like, this is what quality looks like, and then everything else, it's just like completely unfiltered, unless it was something so profound that was trending, or it was like something in mass consciousness or mass perception at the time. But typically I could look at those 30 data points or those 30 people, and if something was emerging, if I saw 2 or 3 people doing it, I knew that maybe something was coming up, and then I was able to act on it faster than most people. Because if you're first to a trend or a service or something, you have a much higher likelihood of succeeding in that endeavor. There's a higher probability of success. So that would be what I do. I don't know if it's necessarily applicable to how you're operating things, but that's my whole like filtration process of like, and that goes for anything. That could go for if you're even developing software. Like, look at your competitors and don't look at them as competitors. Look at them as like inspiration. Imagine they're like your best friends. You know how I mentioned like you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with. It's so true. How many of you have like hung out with someone, spent time with someone, and eventually you start talking a bit like them? Like it just like it rubs off, and it's like it's weird. That's because we have osmosis. We take on elements or energies of the people surrounding us. So if you look at your competitors not as they're my competition, they're my enemy, they're this, or I need to destroy them, or whatever the case may be. If you do that, you get locked in the mode of competition, and there are like some, thrown out negative or whatever on a subconscious level. But if you see it as like, this person is doing something truly profound, I like it so much, I think I'm going to take it as inspiration. It's like then you can use those things and integrate them into yourself as well. So that would be, my advice for gauging quality. Look at people who are winning and see what you can pull. Like cherry pick from each of them. Don't steal from one person, but use everyone as inspiration. Use everything.
Like, you guys are doing things for the first time. You guys may not know how to do that. That is how I dove into like throwing communities and events as well. I was like, hey, I use social media, the powerful tool that even Mino has and told us about, and had people come out to an event, had about 100 people come out. It was crazy. Some people were looking at me like, how'd you do this? I was like, look, I just use social media. I talked to the person I wanted to come out and had 100 people come out. And that was honestly very, very surprising, but I did not see that signal. You guys are constantly gonna have signals right in front of your faces you guys are going to miss. That is okay, because you guys literally will have so many things right in front of you that is like the key to what you want. You're not gonna realize that for a few months, years down the line. But a year later, and this is actually a really nice story with Cal. I came off a flight from my dad's wedding, and I did not sleep. And just like Bilal has a lot of those stories with him not sleeping and doing crazy activities, Hello. What I did was I planned to run a mile a day for 30 days straight. It's just something I do in January. I don't drink, I take a break from alcohol and everything like that, and I documented that process. We talk about documenting processes with content, and the biggest part of doing a 30-day challenge, which I'm actually about to do that again with a lot of people, let me know if you want to join, is at the end of the 30 days, you do not know what's going to happen. That's scary and exciting at the same time because you don't know what's going to happen and you don't know what opportunities are going to come your way. So I was doing this opportunity, just running a mile a day for 30 days straight. Kyle hit me up. He's like, "You should do a run club." I told him, "Nah, bro, I don't know about that. This run club." And I was like, "Nah, I don't think I should do that." And then Sergio back there, he just walked in. He was like, "No, like do a run club." They didn't know each other or they didn't talk to each other at that point in time. And come to find out, they were right. I didn't have this idea of something I was putting out there myself. They gave me an idea and it was like, "Hey, run at it." But like Dylan said, it's not about all the ideas that are in the room, it's about who takes actions on those ideas. And that was the biggest thing that was for me. So the Run Club really did start out with 8 people, then went to 50. We went to a coffee shop, and I'll talk about coffee shops later. But we went to a coffee shop and we filled it up too much. So then we had to take it to a different location. And we had 8 to then 50 people, then 250 people. And then we sat around like 400 to 1,000 people every Saturday. And then we collab with other run clubs like Raw Dog Run Club in Austin, Texas. I'm talking to some of the biggest brands, Nike, Adidas. Actually, right now I am under contract with Adidas for the full year because of stuff like that. Did I know this was gonna happen last year? No. But that's literally how life works when you actually put yourself out there outside of the corporate world. And I promise you, I know the corporate world, I know the outside of the corporate world. So I know the difference of those two if you guys have any questions too. But with these, doing a lot of different iterations, just like you do with any type of business, you do, to me, I see success as in like a T. So you go up a vertical and then you expand out. But it's finding that vertical that is that trend or what's going on that gets you up to expand out. It's like a T or a tree where you expand up the trunk and then you go out into the branches like that. So what it looked like for the Run Club was start the Run Club and then we went to a coffee shop and then we put a DJ at the Run Club and then all that started blowing up. Content was one of the biggest aspects of this. Is one, like, it would be interesting to do a case study on this because everybody would come out here and create content themselves. So inevitably it was like UGC content. I didn't ask for this. I just made something cool enough for people to come out and make that. So they started sharing it with their friends and their friends' friends, and that's how a lot of people started coming out. So it kind of mimics like affiliate marketing within business too. And then from there, this is another crazy part. I can't really say about this one. So after that, if you guys live in Chicago or anywhere up north, obviously it's very, very cold in the wintertime. I'm not running in the wintertime. I played football, I ran outside in 60-degree weather in January. I told myself I'm not doing that shit again. Sorry for cussing. But we went to a coffee shop. So I started putting DJs in coffee shops. I saw them do it out in LA. Similar to Bilal saying, steal like an artist. Take something that is in a different market and then twisting it and making it my own and putting it into this market. And then from there, it started small again. It's not like it did have retargeting from the audience from Run Club, but it was still hard. Like, I feel like it's much more rewarding going up a mountain, seeing the top of the mountain, and then be like, oh shit, let's do this again, let's go back down. And then let's climb that mountain up again. Because that gives you much more confidence and it gives you a story. I'll explain what a story means too. But it really started out with about 50 people and then stayed around there. And then it started getting higher and higher. This event right here was the biggest event I've ever thrown. We had about 8,000 RSVPs and between 2,000 to 4,000 people show up. This event was at recess and I didn't know how to do an event prior to doing that. Frankly, I was just like, hey, let's keep going, let's keep the momentum, let's use the resources that we have, which, I mean, ChatGPT is absolutely amazing, and understand, like Mino was saying, everything's a people business. You can get almost anything about, like, that you want, any type of information with the right communication with people. Literally. Like, being young is one of the biggest tools that you possibly have. Like, curiosity, people love talking about themselves. Like, ask any question to any person, the worst thing you can get is a no. Like, that does not hurt you at all. It almost helps you. As long as you get an answer, then you go, okay, cool, that's not the person that's gonna talk to me, cool, I'm gonna talk to somebody else. And the most successful people, which I'm gonna talk about this little sign right there, because that's who I'm working with right now, which I'm around. Those people love helping younger individuals. So I throw events, I throw communities in the city. I'm expanding to a lot of other verticals too, which is gonna be very challenging, and it's gonna be very exciting in my opinion. but I also work at Pi, which is a social startup app. Consider, you guys may know Partyful, Posh, Eventbrite, all of those, Eventbrite, all those apps, Boomer app. But yeah, so I'm working with them, but I want to talk about the two people I work with that completely blew my mind. The CEO, Mino, do you know Bonobos?
Bonobos?
Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
So it's a clothing brand out in New York. You're still in New York, right? So it's a clothing brand out in New York. The CEO of Bonobos sold that company for $350 million. So gone through a lot of challenges. COO sold his company to Twitter for $100 million. So sitting under them and learning from those individuals, the one lesson that I would love to say that I learned from them is that they took the most punches in the room. Those individuals, like, you hear no's or anything like that, going through challenges, going through adversity, asking those questions on that, they took 1,000 times more punches than I've ever taken in my life. And seeing that and like seeing them being so humble but still so hungry at the same time, even at the age of like 40s, is like astounding. So to see that, and then to be my age, I'm 26 to be open, I was like, oh, okay, cool. As well as like they were just regular people, and they're doing things they've never done before as well. So, I mean, with all that to say, like, it's a great story to tell for me, and anytime you guys have a challenge, or anytime you guys are going through like ups and downs, and I promise you, the more you push yourself, the more it's gonna get volatile. Like, you'll have such high highs and such low lows, but the best thing that you have out of that, and the reason why content is so big, is because it gives you a story. With all this AI, and Dylan is correct, like, I've seen some things behind the scenes, and talking to some devs that have been in this space for a long time, it is really intriguing how fast like it's being developed, and all the tools that's gonna happen, and all the creativity it's gonna allow people to have. But the one thing that like sets yourself apart from anybody else, and the one thing I'm gonna keep banking on myself, is the story that I have to say myself, and that you guys can't replicate. Because you guys can't replicate anything I did exactly, and then on the flip side, I can never replicate anything that you guys did exactly too. Because you guys have your own individual lives, and I have my own individual life too. And it's for a human nature, and the reason why I was able to throw a lot of community events and continuously able to do that, is everybody latches onto a story. It doesn't matter if you were just born yesterday or 1,000 years ago, people were sharing stories on walls, in books, friends, like to other communities, and that's always gonna stick around from 1,000 years ago and then 1,000 years in the future. So I appreciate you guys for allowing me to share my story.
Tremendously. He started working with A-list celebrities, household names, negotiating million-dollar equity deals, and just turned into a complete shark in the space. He went to over 60 countries within a span of 6 months, and I want him to basically share his story and talk about how he went from trying to figure out his way to becoming the man he is today. So without further ado, clap it up for my brother Cal.
How many of you feel like you're ready to take your life or your business to the next level? Raise your hand. Okay, beautiful. How about you, Andrew? You don't want to take your life to the next level? Put your hand up. Where you are, huh? Okay, now raise your hand, and I want you guys to be honest here. If you raised your hand because you're ready to take your business or your life to the next level, but you're doing the exact same bullshit that you were doing 6 months ago. Be honest. Beautiful. Even Mino raised his hand. That means that I know some of you guys here are lying. But you see here, that's your problem right there. Now, raise your hand if you're ready to hear why comfort is the enemy of your growth. Why comfort is the only thing that's holding you back from accomplishing that next level in your business. Beautiful. Okay, now lower your hands. 6 months ago, I'm sitting in Jason Derulo's home studio at his house. It's 3 a.m. and I've been waiting since 7 p.m. for a meeting that was intended to be 15 minutes. I'd never met him before yet, outside of one phone call and a 15-minute Zoom meeting. And most people would have left hours ago. Most people would have said, this is disrespectful, or I'm too important for this. Or on the flip side, they probably would have left for less egotistical reasons, tried to blow up his phone or figure out where the fuck he was at. I know for a fact that most people wouldn't have done what I did, and I fell asleep in that chair. And when I woke up at 6 a.m., I wake up in the studio, I'm like, oh shit, what the fuck? I just fell asleep in Jason Derulo's crib. I don't even know if he knows if I'm still here. Better yet, I have no idea where the fuck is he at. I already waited like 2 weeks to have this meeting and he's nowhere to be found. But I woke up, boom, Jason walks through the studio. His first thing he says is, what the fuck, you're still here? I'm looking at him, bedhead, looking crazy, juiced up. I haven't eaten in 24 hours. I'm wearing the same outfit, muggy, all types of shit. Look at him and said, where'd you think I was gonna go, Jay? How long have I been waiting to meet with you, dog? And 6 hours later, I was on a flight with him to Dubai. Now that's the literal most condensed version of that story. For the next 8 months, I traveled to 22 countries, managing one of the biggest names in entertainment. And it's because when he walked into that room, he saw something in me that has also led him to the majority of his success, which is an individual that's gonna be willing to do whatever the fuck it takes, no matter what. An individual that if he wants something, he's gonna go after what he wants, no matter how uncomfortable it makes him. All because I was willing to be uncomfortable when everyone else would have walked away. I'm 25 years old, I'm a 2-time C-suite executive, I own a consulting firm, I manage global celebrities, I'm working on a Netflix movie with Mario Lopez. I started a tech company in February that now works with the Kid Laroi, Central C, The Weeknd, and many other artists. But 2 years ago, I had $2,000 in my bank account and I was $15,000 in debt. Those bills were due within the next few months. I just resigned as a CEO of a company with literally no backup plan. And everyone thought that I'd lost my mind. But here's what I learned. At least one of the things that I've learned, because I learned a lot. One of the most common pieces of advice that I hear told to young kids, older kids, adults, business owners, entrepreneurs, janitors, it doesn't really matter, is just be yourself. That advice is absolute bullshit. And I think it's the most dangerous advice ever given to an entrepreneur. Here's the truth. I don't talk to Jason Derulo the same way that I talk to a Fortune 500 CEO. I don't present myself in a boardroom the same way that I do hanging out with my brothers. I'm not gonna speak at FinCon where it's gonna be an audience of over 1,000 people above the age of 35 the same way that I'm speaking to you motherfuckers. The reason is because you guys are all just like me. You see, successful people master the art of adaptation. Okay, they dial certain parts of themselves up or down depending on who they're speaking to and the situation that they're in. But here's what most people miss. Adaptation, it's not about being fake. It's about being strategic. When I first met Ibrahim, I was dying to become friends with him. As a matter of fact, the reason that I know all of the Chicago entrepreneurs is because of a strategic blueprint that I had laid out in January of 2024, where I got a call from one of my friends who does wholesale real estate, lives in Texas, and he's like, yo, do you know these guys? Ibrahim Ansari, Renzo Guevara, Jordan, DJ, Will, Eddie Cumberbatch, Cam Oliveira, Sergio. I'm joking, no one knew Sergio.
Sorry, Sergio.
But you see, I realized in this moment, I'm working at this company. I'm a chief operating officer for a healthcare company. I have a nice 6-figure salary, but I'm surrounding myself with a bunch of fucking bums. You feel me? Look, everyone around me, I was always the most successful person in the room, and that was a problem because I wasn't even that fucking successful. But I stuck with the people that I was attached to because of my environments when I was growing up. I made a decision in the beginning of that year that I was gonna cut off anyone in my life that wasn't serving me. And one way or another, at the dinner table that I see all of them at, it was gonna be my dinner table. And I remember I said this to my roommate and he looked at me like, bro, you're a fucking weirdo. Like, what are you gonna do, slide in their DMs? And it was a series of events, and every single step that I took was extremely uncomfortable. It started with hopping on Renzo and Garrett Campbell's IG Lives and being like, yo, I'm in Chicago, let me take you out to dinner. What actually got me through, and I'm surprised he's not here, fuck you when you hear this, Dean, but Dean Chicago Living, massive audience here in Chicago. I did a house tour with him, also very uncomfortable. The people in the comments ripped me apart when I did that shit, but the reason I did it is because I knew he was friends with these guys. So he came and did the house tour, and right there I was like, yo, let me take you out to lunch. took him out to lunch, and he's telling me he's best friends with Renzo and Ibby, right? So I was like, okay, cool. You know, I actually got something that I've been wanting to tell Renzo about. Next time you're hanging out with him, let me know. He's like, what? I'm like, fuck, I didn't think that far. But he still invited me. I got to meet Renzo, was able to present myself in that situation, and invited Ibby out to dinner, which he was willing to come to because I had already met the people around him. I kind of rambled a little bit too long there, but my point is, when I took Ibrahim out to dinner, I did something a little bit strategic, and I do this a lot. Me and Ibby hadn't really met yet at this point, and when I got to the restaurant, I gave the server my credit card, and I told him, don't bring the check to the table. When I did that, it was basically because I understood that that moment of generosity would demonstrate my character better than anything I could say. I've done it before, and I know the psychology of relationship building. Here's the thing though, Ibrahim, at the time, he was making a lot more money than me, right? And he didn't need me to pay for that dinner. And Ibrahim has brought this moment up a lot of times. He's easily in the top 5 of my life. You know, outside of my blood family, I consider him a brother. I would die for him, and I know he would do the same for me. Ibrahim, although you didn't need me to pay for that dinner, what did it mean to you? You know, it's not like you couldn't afford the $300 or $500 that it was, but what did that mean to you?
First off, this guy orders everything on menu, so it's definitely like $500-$600. But it meant a lot because 9 times out of 10, every single situation, I'm always the one that puts the card down because I hate anytime a bill comes to the table and there's like that look of uncertainty on everyone's face. So I just clear the air immediately. So it showed me his character. It showed me that he thinks 3 steps ahead and goes where the ball is headed, not where the ball is currently at. And I was like, this is the type of guy that I want to be friends with.
You see, Ibrahim hit the nail on the head because that's the difference between successful people and everyone else. We think 3 moves ahead in every interaction. And here are some things that I felt like were stopping me early in my career that I feel could potentially be stopping you guys from also getting what you want. The first one, Renzo mentioned earlier, is caring about what other people think. Renzo talked about the mirror of life on my podcast last year, and I planned on telling you guys about it, but he already did. So I'll leave you with this. When I was down to my last $2,000, I was embarrassed. I didn't want my family to know. I didn't want my friends to see me struggle. And that shame almost cost me everything. Because instead of trying to focus on fixing the problem, I was trying to focus on maintaining the facade of success rather than assuming the shame, solving the issue, and being who I truly was. The moment I stopped giving a fuck about judgment is the moment that everything changed. That's number 1. Number 2 is taking half measures. You know what separates the guys who make $3K a month with an agency from the guys who make $30K a month? The guys that make $30K a month or more, they take action that makes them uncomfortable every single day. They make the calls that other people won't. They show up in situations that other people won't show up. And they invest when others count pennies. You can't take half measures. You have to be able to live in discomfort. Live in discomfort. That story that I told you guys about Jason, falling asleep in his studio wasn't the only uncomfortable thing that I had to do. From that point forward, I had 0 direction. I didn't know when I could speak up, what I was supposed to be responsible for, or how I could provide value. But every single day, I woke up and I put myself in an uncomfortable situation. If he was negotiating a deal, I spoke up. If he was in a meeting, I walked through the door. And any chance that I got, I provided value. I lived in discomfort. When I wanted to become friends with all of these guys, I probably looked like a fucking bozo. Very discomfortable. But now I'm here. I'm at this event because of the shit that I did 2 years ago. Trying to become friends with these guys. You feel me? Be uncomfortable. Your success lies in the work that you're avoiding. Every single day. And the third is thinking that you know everything. I've been a CEO, I've been a chief operating officer for a healthcare company, business manager to global stars, and I'm still learning every single day. You guys all had an opportunity to ask 5 rich motherfuckers right in front of you any question you want. I'm one of those fuckers speaking to you guys now. You notice how I asked a question? So if you didn't, you should be fucking ashamed of yourself, is the actual truth. Why did I ask a question and you didn't? You think you're better than me? I promise you're not. And you could have gotten closer to that had you asked a question. You see, the moment you think you figured it out, you stop growing. And every breakthrough in my life follows the same pattern. What's interesting is that every breakthrough in the speakers' lives and the panel's lives also seem to follow a similar pattern. I put myself in a situation so uncomfortable that most people would run. Take your speakers today. Mino had to convert from his comedy account. Ibi and Renzo had to speak up at that event, network with each other, and choose to launch their business. Dylan had to stop making porn. No, I'm joking. Dylan dropped out of college. And you see, there are many moments of discomfort that each of us have decided to literally put ourselves in. But again, it's all involved in the pattern of each of our accomplishments and success. I put myself in situations uncomfortable every single day, and then I stay there until something amazing happens. Like I said, I live in discomfort. Falling asleep in Jason's studio when I should have left, resigning as a CEO with no safety net when I should have stayed, flying to LA with a one-way ticket and a carry-on bag, and traveling 22 countries without thinking twice. Taking someone successful to dinner and paying even when I could barely afford it. You didn't know that, huh? Every single time the discomfort led to something bigger than I could have imagined. You're in this room because you want more, right? You're in this room because you want more, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And here's what nobody tells you. Your comfort zone, it's not just limiting your growth, it's murdering your potential. Every person you admire has made friends with the feeling of, what the fuck am I doing? They live in discomfort. They learn to find opportunity in themselves. And here's what I want you to ask yourself. What's the most uncomfortable thing you could do this week that would move your business forward? What is the most uncomfortable thing you could do this week that will move your business forward? Is it reaching out to someone who intimidates you? Is it investing in a relationship before you know it'll pay off? Is it taking a risk that everyone else will call stupid? Whatever it is, that uncomfortable feeling in your stomach when you think about it, that's not fear talking. That's opportunity knocking. Because I promise you this, on the other side of discomfort is everything you've ever wanted. The question isn't whether you're good enough. The question is whether you're uncomfortable enough. Thank you.
Are gonna doubt us. The fastest way to move from where you are to where you want to be in life is pull yourself out of an environment that you're currently in and find another environment. Because when you go to the new environment, you can be whoever you want to be. One of the things that held me back was I went to like a community college, and so I lived with my parents at the time. So I go to college, come back, they see me as like little Dylan, right? So how can you change? Well, I moved. You don't have to move per se, but just find new environments to be around. That fair? So if you want to get fit, go be around more fit people, right? You want to get rich, what do? Find more rich people, right? So my goal, our food is like 2 minutes away, almost here, is to connect with you guys.
Asking yourself, what's the impact I'm leaving on someone? What's the emotion that this is going to evoke? What emotion does this make me feel? And another thing, don't be afraid to ask your peers or your brother or your sister or someone and be like, watch this video. Is it stupid? What do you feel? What do you think? And they'll be honest with you, all right? Because we as content creators, sometimes we can get lost in our own ego. Oh, this video is a banger. This video is like the greatest thing since sliced bread. Then you show it to your friend, they're like, bro, what the fuck is this? And I've had that on more than one occasion, so believe me, always get the peer review, but at the end of the day, also follow your gut on that.
Have like conflicting interests like 90% of the time, because oftentimes authenticity is actually like an incredible way to go viral. Like my best videos, some of like the topics that I've covered in the best videos that I have made have been like, actually had a video at the airport where I was like sad and I was like, you know, I really thought life would get better once I made 10K a month. Like I was like just opening up about like kind of like a depressed feeling, and I also knew that would do well because it did strike a very specific emotion that was like very true to me. But also like people generally resonate with like real human emotions. However, I think authenticity can be this like cope of not getting views if you edit it wrong or you just start on the wrong sentence. So I think there's the principles of what does well on social media, which like, let's say going off what Bilal said, it's like striking an emotion at the beginning, or maybe it's having a visually captivating hook, like turning your head. Like that's still important. Like you still want to do that, you know? You don't want to start with a video being like, hey guys, I was gonna make a video today. What was the topic? Like, that's not raw and authentic. You can just cut that out. Like, you know, it's that isn't necessarily like stopping yourself from being raw and authentic. I would just say like know what the hook is, and then make sure the video still progresses along at like a decent speed. Those are like pretty much my only two real like internal metrics. Everything else, like what I'm covering, if it's like, guys, I'm feeling sad, or guys, I'm really pissed about this thing, or guys, I messed up recently. Those are all great topics. Like people love watching when you fuck up. People also love watching when you're sad. Like it's kind of weird, but it's really powerful because it's like some of my best connections that I made online with founders doing like millions of dollars a year that I would never connected from came from like me being like, guys, it's 2 a.m. and I'm really sad that my business is not doing well. It's really interesting that it works that way, but you know, I still edited it with the intention of like, this is still gonna move along quickly and I'm gonna create an emotion.
And actually to add on to that for the editing portion of it, you basically just want to make sure there's no like dead space or like wasted time. There's something always going on, even if it's like an intentional pause. The pause is intentional. Like it all has to kind of flow and have a certain rhythm to it. It needs to flow together. Like if there's a moment in the video where it would make sense to have a pause and it doesn't seem like it's dragging on too long, that will actually enhance the video as opposed to being a detriment. So that's a very important aspect, and I thought I'd just touch on that a little bit.
There's a lot of other people see your content, they'll be like, damn, he's doing what I want to do. I just like didn't have the balls to actually take action to do that. But the other plus side of doing that is you also get to look back and be like, wow, I came back so far. So you look at guys like Iman Gadzhi, he was documenting his journey when he was a nobody at 14, 15 years old. And obviously now he's extremely successful, multi-millionaire. And you could look back at his YouTube channel and see where he was from day one. And the reason why he's extremely successful is because he did document from day one.
I just want to say I obviously don't have the biggest audience, nor has that ever been my #1 priority, but definitely the most valuable footage that I have is the footage of my video journals talking about the situation that I was in when I was in it. You can hear it in my voice, you can see it in my eyes, you can see it in my face. I looked like a completely different person than I do now. So being able to, #1, utilize that footage, also repurpose it into my existing content, but even just look back on it myself is one of the best decisions that I made. And I was doing that back then without the intent to post, right? So when you asked the question, you said you document and then put it all together and then post it. Just document. I documented years before I had ever even posted once, before my social media pages were even public. So document no matter what. Actually, document, don't create. Just document. And the rest of it will happen on its own. What's your follow-up?
Then based on your change perspective on the burnout, I'm curious to know how you actually like handle it. Like, you know, you said it changed your perspective on it, but how do you actually like handle that?
I'm not gonna lie, my advice when it comes to things like burnout and depression and things of that nature is a bit controversial because I think it's bullshit. I might be feeling burnout, but at the end of the day, that's just like me feeling sad. And I'm not gonna let any feeling dictate the actions that I take throughout the day. Everyone that knows me knows this about me. I don't give a fuck about what anyone thinks. I don't give a fuck about what anyone says. Nothing is gonna stop me from getting what I want. Whether it's feeling tired, feeling burnt out, not sleeping for 3 days. So that's like more from a personal standpoint. But what was cool about learning that new perspective is Alex mentioned specifically what burnout truly is a change in the cadence in which you're being rewarded for the work that you're doing, and or the frequency of you getting the reward for the work that you're doing. And if that's what burnout truly is, I can probably control my brain feeling burnt out if I can re-identify what that reward is. Basically identify a new reward for myself. So if the previous reward was getting 1 million views on my video and I'm feeling burnt out, it's because I'm numb to that reward. So if I can identify a different one, I'll probably fight against that feeling. At the end of the day, we're all fucking men. If you wake up, you're feeling burnt out and you're feeling tired, do what the fuck you gotta do. That's my real advice.
I can offer like a little bit of an analogy on this one. Okay. So dating apps, that's a thing, okay? So I want you to imagine that creating content or building a personal brand is kind of like having Tinder, or just like making yourself more attractive to the observer. Doing that and focusing on having a solid profile or having solid content is what will initially get people to start gravitating towards you in the first place. It kind of creates that magnetism of like, people want to work with you, people want to engage with you. Then doing cold outreach or any sort of DM process is then your ability to communicate with other people and incentivize them to take some sort of action. That being said, you can accomplish the objective just with doing the DMs, but it would be easier if you had a good profile set up, just like how it would be, you know, someone who's attractive, it's easier for them to connect with people, they get more people who want to interact with them, the success rate goes up. So I would say it shouldn't be one or the other. If anything, pick your poison in terms of what you want to focus more specifically on. I would just say from personal experience, me focusing on content, I had leads coming to me. I didn't have to go, running after. Like, you build up a personal brand, you can post a CTA, you can get people to show up to stuff. There's a plethora of benefits that come with actually creating content and focusing on that. I'm not saying not having the DM skills is not important. It is incredibly important, but do with that information what you will.
Operating officer for a healthcare company that was doing over $30 million a year in profit. I was in charge of over 90 professionals. My team was made up of doctors, nurses, medical assistants, etc., etc. I had a comfortable 6-figure salary, but I always knew that I was capable of more. And I was adamant about pursuing entrepreneurship. So I decided that what I've done throughout my career so far is I've been a CEO, scaled that company, been a COO, I've already scaled this company by over $1 million in profit in the last 8 months. Why don't I just do this, and instead of getting another C-suite executive job, I can start my own consulting firm and basically be the CEO or the COO of multiple companies at the same time. I help them scale, I get a percentage of revenue. Now I have no ceiling, and I'm not making somebody else rich for a comfortable salary. So when I made the decision to start my consulting firm in January of 2024, I said that I would do it just on the side. I would continue working my chief operating officer position, and I would just do it on the side until I'm making enough money to replace what I was doing at my job. You have to understand that we are human, so when you add in more inputs in your life, it's gonna either pull you away or bring you closer to something. Not only was doing it on the side pulling me away from being as effective as I normally was at my job, but I also was just being half-measured, like I talked about in my talk earlier. I was being half-assed. I got like 2 clients in the first 3 months. One of them was a flop, launch, made like $50. The second one also flopped, made like $20. And then at this point, I had to make a decision. And it was, I could have taken the data set over the last 3 months and said to myself, you know what, this isn't working out. Let me just focus on growing at my company, keeping my salary, etc. What I actually decided to do was give it a real shot. A real fucking shot. Because I really wanted what I was saying that I wanted. So I left that company when I was offered a raise that would have doubled my salary, and I decided to go all in. Within 3 days, I closed our third client, and within 25 days, we hit 25K in MRR with that client. On the day that I launched with that client, which was June 20 of 2024, was also the day that I went to Jason's house. None of those things would have happened had I not taken that leap of faith. And there was 0 indicators telling me that it was gonna work out the way that it did. There was one thing I could rely on. There's only one thing that you could rely on, Khalil. And it's not an answer that anybody on this panel is gonna give you, it's your fucking self. I relied on my own self-belief. I knew that if I put myself in this situation one way or another, I'm gonna figure it the fuck out, because I know who I am. I look at myself in the mirror every single day. And when I'm not feeling like the man, I'm gonna grab my balls, snip my fingers, tell myself I'm a fucking man. So I'm gonna make it work one way or another. Do you have the opportunity to 10x your business in the next 30 days or 3 weeks? Everyone does. You got a laptop? There's money in it. You gotta get the money out of it. Every day you wake up, depending on the things that you do, you either get the money out of it or the money stays in there. Nothing is gonna change until you change. And it's that simple. You got one thing to rely on. Not us, not anything anyone here says, your own self-belief. You look at yourself in the mirror, you ask yourself who you are, and you make the decision based off of that answer.
That was a great way.
That was awesome. All right, guys, one more round.
Yo, maybe. Can you get Catherine to drop off Vito or not?
I honestly think I'm going to entire life's fortune in the next 12 months. And I listened to him. And, you know, it allowed me to create massive opportunity for myself and cool stuff in my life. Unfortunately, you know, all you guys that want to make content, like, is it harder now to make content than when you started? Harder to grow an audience now than when you started? Just say yes to prove my point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Honestly, yes. It's hard.
And why is that? Because all of you fucking guys are gonna go out and shoot a video today. So the guy who does it every single day is gonna win, right? Or the person who's on the next wave is gonna win. Social media is a wave, you guys can do it. But what I want you guys thinking about is, what's the next wave? What do you say, AI? Who here agrees that AI is the next wave? Is the wave? Who here uses ChatGPT?
Did an essay on it.
Who here uses some form of AI almost daily? We're using it. Who here is making an income using AI? Cool. Now, those of you know, keep your hands up. Those of you making an income using AI, whether it's from writing scripts, something else, keep your hand up. Now, who here is making more than 5K a month using AI? Good. Who here is making more than 10K a month using AI? 15? 20? 25?
Oh, you guys are gonna make me cry.
40? 45? 50? 80? Well, whose hands left? Just, you don't count, dude. You don't.
All right, we out here. We're implementing right away.
Oh yeah.
Got my content coach over here, Mino. All right, what's like one piece of advice you would give to anyone that wants to start like content creation or building their own business?
Work with Ray. That's what you gotta do. That's what you gotta do. Work with Ray, bro. He's the freaking GOAT. No, okay. To anybody who wants to start,
Yeah.
Man, I know you're recording like a lot of the segments, so like definitely like and subscribe to this channel. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is to leave a comment of your favorite takeaway from before that shows that you were actually actively listening to the information. Earlier on this video, you didn't press that little fucking 5-second skip, 5-second skip, 5-second skip on your keyboard.
Yeah.
And number 3 is to hit that first link in the description, baby. Let's go.
Let's go.
But I would say
say that again.
like, because Ray's a fitness coach, right? And Ray's also like a business coach. And the highest leverage fucking thing is to show up every single day as the creator. So why spend like 10 to 15 minutes on a video every single day? Bro, spend fucking 10 hours on the video, get 1 million views, and then solve your lead gen for the next fucking 5 months. Like, I'm so deadass. That's like, why treat content like this fucking side thing when it is quite literally the highest leverage thing? More than fulfillment, more than sales, more than setting, more than building a landing page, more than talking to clients one-to-one on the phone. You know this already, right? And it's like, the most high leverage thing you can do is just show up every single day for the content. So do whatever optimizes for that. With the caveat of your business actually has to like need content, right? Some businesses actually don't need content. If I'm an app founder, maybe I don't need it as much, right? But generally speaking, I've seen like AI app founders too, and he was like this one startup that I've like seen in SF recently. Their founder tweets every single day on Twitter, and that is still their biggest lead gen source, even though they have $10 million in funding. Their founder, well, they're supposed to be doing like, you know, super important things like hopping on investor meetings and hopping on sales calls for enterprise clients. Yes, he does that, but he makes sure to get the tweets out because the business does not fucking run unless there's like eyeballs on the product and on your page every single day. And I think like it's interesting how like the highest leverage thing is something that people will like put off to the side. And you know, it depends. It depends on the situation, but it's also like it takes time to build up.
Yeah.
Once you have it down, you'll never regret learning content and going through the mud for 90 days.
Yeah.
Because like eventually you want to get to the point where you are spending like 80% of your time creating content honestly, and then 20% is obviously like the admin work. Unless you want to not be the face of the business, you want to outsource content, go ahead. Sacrifice 60% of your margins because that's how much the creator will take.
Yeah.
Because that's where all the trust is built. That's where all the brand is built. That's where all the authority and lead gen is built. And like I have an operator in my business who I want to do like fucking half of the work. Literally half of the work. Giving 25% profit share. Right? And even that is still like kind of a lot. And the reason why is because I literally provide all the leverage, even if the work I do can be just like 1 hour a day of making a video. That is like, that's the power of content, and it's just like really interesting to see like when time is not properly allocated for it, just because it won't get results on the next week. But in reality, give it 1 to 3 months of consistently showing up and actually putting attention behind it, and not like, you know, semi-quitting, mentally being like, I'm just gonna like put out there, you know, the content is not important. Like actually like caring about it and having the faith that it will suck for the first 2 weeks of showing up every day, and then it won't suck, and it'll become the most powerful fucking vehicle in the world. Have the faith to actually show up and like try, because a lot of creators that I see in my own program too, like we have like 540 paying members right now, and half the people I know like they might show up but they don't actually, they're not hard committed. They'll like post with their fucking eyes closed, like using half their brain power.
So that wraps up the entire video, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that, got a lot of value, took a lot of notes, and going to implement the information that is given to you guys, because information without implementation is absolute nothing. So you guys got to implement, right? Learning from these high 6-figure earners, 7-figure earners, you guys got to adopt the same mentality, the habits, the thinking, the knowledge, and apply that for yourself. And then naturally you're gonna elevate your standards to that level over time. Me personally, there were so many different takeaways from it, but my biggest takeaway is 1, always put yourself in the room. Always put yourself in the room, guys. Being surrounded by other 6-7 figure earners doing exactly what you want to be doing. Content creation, online coaching, entrepreneurship. You guys got to surround yourself with the right types of people if you actually want to be successful. Literally, guys, understand that having a coach, having a mentor, having peers that are doing exactly what you're doing is going to help elevate you so much in your life. And if you're like, oh, I don't need any mentorship, I don't need any coaching, you literally are getting mentored right now, guys, right? The information that you learn from this video, that is quote unquote mentorship. Imagine if you got around that every single day. Imagine if you had someone to teach you, guide you, pave the path for you instead of the trial and error, so that you're gonna like, oh, you know, like, how do I build a successful online coaching business? I'm gonna try this. Oh, I'm gonna try going on this YouTube video. Oh, I'm gonna try doing that. I'm trying to do that. You know, like, there's so many different things that you can do, but having a coach, having a mentor is going to guide you, put you on the right path, be like, hey, this is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and so on. As you saw in that video, I personally have a coach and mentor in my life as well. I'm always investing in myself because I know that I can't do it alone. I got to always be surrounding myself with more successful people than me, because if you're the smartest in the room or you're the most successful in the room, you're in the wrong room, guys, right? That's why I have coaches. That's why I have mentors, and you always got to be investing in yourself. Like, the game of entrepreneurship is you're always investing in yourself to get to that next level. No matter where you are. If you're at 5K a month, you're investing into getting to 10, right? If you're at 10, you're trying to get to 15. If you're trying to get from 15 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 500, it doesn't matter, right? Like, there's just levels to it, guys. The biggest takeaway that I got from that event was understanding that content creation and social media is highly leveraged, and it needs to be prioritized in your business. Because before then, I was like, you know what, like, I'm gonna post some Instagram content, I'm gonna post some TikTok content, I'm gonna post some YouTube content if I have some time, if I'm feeling it, or anything like that. But then I didn't really have this like prioritization in terms of content creation and understanding the importance of it, and I just needed to be reminded of that, right? Because my coach was like, hey, if you fix the content creation aspect, that would solve so many different issues inside your business. If you're not getting enough customers, it's because of content creation. If you're not getting enough clients, it's because of content creation. Like, understand that content creation, if you have a video that just blows up or goes viral or does really well, it could blow up your business overnight. And for me, I was like, man, I was reminded of that. And I'm like, bro, I gotta lock in with my content creation once again. And I think that was the spark, the knowledge, the mindset, and the perspective that I really needed to be reminded of in order for me to keep on growing my business to that next level, guys. So what I'm personally doing every single day is making sure that it's a priority in my business, making sure that I'm being super intentional with the content creation, with the posting, with the stories, with the TikTok, with the Instagram, with the YouTube. Everything is going to be dialed in, and I'm making sure that I'm locking in towards that and making sure that I'm putting myself in a position where I have the potential to pop off, the potential to go viral, the potential to blow up overnight, right? Understand that if you, one, don't post any content at all and you're not consistent with it, you have zero chance of blowing up. You have zero chance of getting more customers. You have zero chance of getting more clients. Two is, if you are putting out half-ass content, you are not going to blow up. You are not going to blow up, and you will not get clients, you will not get customers. So you need to be very intentional in posting good pieces of content, especially nowadays, guys. There are more content creators and business owners and entrepreneurs and people getting in the online space. You're competing against them for the attention, guys. So understand that if you're posting like crappy pieces of content and you're just posting just to post, you will not be successful. So understand that if, one, you're not being consistent, number two, you're posting crappy pieces of content, you will not be successful. And this is what I'm telling myself in order for me to channel that energy and making good content and exceptional pieces of content for you guys on my YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, every social media platform. Our biggest takeaway is understanding that you literally have the potential to 10x your business in the next 30 days. You have the potential and capability of doing that. Everybody in the room does. You do, I do, everyone out there has the potential. But who's actually gonna show up, be consistent, and put out exceptional pieces of content into the world? Who? If you are willing to do that, you will be madly successful inside your business. So keep on showing up for yourself, show up consistently, show up powerfully, and show up every single day and make it a priority. So hopefully this video was helpful for you guys. If it was, be sure to like, comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you have an Instagram account, follow me on there at Raytang Fitness and let's connect on there.